Today I'm going to discuss my cooking setups for camping and for an SHTF scenario. I wanted to show the different setups because you may not always be able to run to the store to pick up more propane tanks, a luxury that we often take for granted in our society. All of what I'll be talking about in this video are lower budget items. Both cooking systems are less than $50 each, including the fuel, stove, and cooking containers. While I may not be cooking a 5-course meal in these, I can make do, especially in an emergency situation. I like to find and more importantly test less expensive options. With the exception of the gas burner and the tanks, which I've recently purchased, I've had this set up for at least 7 years and I use them a lot. I know these will work for years to come and be reliable should things go sideways, and they become one of my only means of cooking. Let's start with my slimmer cooking setup that I usually pack in my bug out bag. It's a Vietnam era US military mess kit with a few things that I pack inside. Inside are a Bic lighter wrapped in duct tape, ferro rod and steel, stormproof matches that I keep inside of this waterproof plastic little container. I have a striker pad on the outside, and I've got a spare one on the inside in the bag. I have one of these UCO utility spork is what it was labeled as. I got it at Walmart. It's like $1. They're good to have. And then of course I've got my collapsible stove with some of these fire starting little blocks. These go a long way just using a little bit. I like to use them to help start a fire just a little bit easier. I'll use this stove along with some sticks and some tinder sourced outside for fuel later in the video. The next setup I use more if I'm going camping, hiking, or even leave it in my vehicle during colder months, which I'll be doing a video on in the near future of how to set up your vehicle for those colder months and how to be prepared in case you're stuck somewhere. I generally use a bigger pot for this type of cooking system. It's just a bit more convenient when weight and space aren't such a strict factor, like in a bug out bag. For the stove unit of this cooking setup, I just picked up a Coleman Peak 1 burner. It's pretty small and lightweight, but it's definitely not one of the micro units. In order to use it with these bigger tanks, I did have to buy an adapter piece. While that may seem counterproductive, I like having it because just as easy as threading it in, and now I can cook between these bigger canisters or even the smaller ones. When storing these items, I keep the burner in one of these insulated double bowls. They come with this handy little lid, and then the other I keep just your average Bic lighter, and in this repurposed Mentos tin, I just keep some salt and pepper. Using this setup, I'm going to be cooking a Mountain House beef stew meal. It's one of my favorites from them, and I've had this one for quite a while. So I've got 2 cups of water that I've got in this pan waiting to start boiling. And then once it's done, once it's boiling, I'm going to follow the cooking instructions that are on the back of this, and it should be ready in just a few minutes. Now I've got my burner going, and I'm just cooking a can of beef stew. It's pretty fast. Yay. Now that I've got the water to a boil and my beef stew on my burner is actually bubbling as well, it's time to pour them into the Mountain House meal and let it do its magic. A short, simple video, but the one on the right is from a can. It's Dinty Moore beef stew. The one on the left, beef stew, but it's from Mountain House, freeze dried, and that's what I would normally carry for more of a survival situation. The Peak 1 burner on top of the Coleman tank did fantastic, cooked really fast. I know I've got plenty of gas in there to cook at least a couple more meals on there the same way. I know the freeze-dried meal looks not as appetizing as, say, the Dinty Moore or probably other beef stews that you've made at home, but given that it's freeze-dried, and I keep it more for emergency use than I'm just hungry, I still really like it, and I encourage everyone to go try it. If it's food that you're going to be packing for an emergency, an SHTF moment, you don't want to pack things that you don't want to eat. I think that concludes this video. The kids are arguing over which bowl they get to eat first and who gets what, so I can tell that they're excited about it. And involving your family in your prepping, that's a big important thing to me.